release the Snyder Cut is something that we had to endure online for a very long time. I mean, this became just part of pop culture. I mean, it was fucking crazy how far this spread. You'd see it on geeks, depicted geek shirts in like Simpsons episodes and shit. Like, you were like, oh my god, this is everywhere. People really want this thing. And so, HBO got together and with Warner Brothers, and they gave Zack Snyder like $30 million and time to re-edit his film into this 4-hour long epic to hopefully make up for that abysmal Justice League movie that was tried to piece together by Joss Whedon, and he was trying to make it like an Avengers movie. The DC fucking universe that Zack Snyder created is far from the Avengers. So if you're going to follow the tone, because very much, yes, there's other kind of like spin-off films, but Justice League is the third film in a trilogy. There's Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition, and then Justice League. Like, yes, there's Wonder Woman, there's Suicide Squad, there's Birds of Prey, there's other films that slightly connect to it, but it's very much Man of Steel, so on and so forth. So to change that tone was crazy to me, and we'll get there. I'm going to talk about that when I do get to see the 4-hour long cut in 2 days. But in the meantime, we are going to review this trilogy of films, and starting with Man of Steel, which of course I saw in theaters and I loved because I don't really give a fuck what anyone thinks. I love Zack Snyder. I've loved every film he's ever made. Dawn of the Dead, 300, yes, Sucker Punch. I don't get the point. I don't get the fucking hate for that movie. I don't get it at all. It's like an anthology film of awesomeness. It's hot chicks in like a multitude of different really cool action sequenced like genre films, whether it's this big robotic like samurai type fucking film, and then they go into this like World War One Nazi blimp fucking movie, and then they go into like a dragon movie, and they go into this like train heist movie. It's awesome. I love it. I don't get the hate on that film at all. I know people are like, oh, it's misogynistic or some bullshit. I don't care. I think it's visually stunning. The girls are incredibly hot. The action sequences are so fucking fun. And then anyway, moving on from that, then there's Watchmen, which is fantastic and is probably the best depiction you could get of it imaginable. I mean, that shit is just straight out of the comics. I mean, every fucking scene he like mirrored that damn comic. And of course there's gonna be a lot of people who disagree. I'm a purist and he changes things and it's not the same and blah blah blah. Dude, it's about as close as you're gonna get. And the Watchmen TV series on HBO is awesome as well. But then and then there's Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, which I actually didn't like Batman v Superman in theaters. Dawn of Justice, sorry. I didn't like it, and I was bummed because it was the first film from him I didn't like, and I was like, what the fuck, what am I going to do with my life now that I don't like a Zack Snyder film? He was always consistent for me, dead on. And then they were like, oh, an Ultimate Edition, and I was like, 31 extra minutes, and I was like, oh, dude, there's no footage that can correct that film. It's done for, whatever. And I put it off for a long time. And then I watched it. And I watched it with somebody after Man of Steel, and I fucking loved it, and I couldn't believe it. I was shocked, but I was happy. I was like, oh, yes. And then I went and saw Justice League, and I was like, that was terrible. I didn't like that movie at all. And then they were like, oh, he's going to, put some new footage in this and that. I'm like, oh, there's not going to be any new footage that's going to save this shit. Lo and behold, this is 90% new, and it's fucking 4 hours long. So it's not going to be very similar at all. And a buddy of mine has already seen it, Lee McCoy from Drum Dums, and he loved it. He watched it twice. So anyways, let's talk about Man of Steel. I'm dying to get my eyes on Justice League to finally wash that horrible taste out of my mouth that Justice League movie left. But Man of Steel, I really enjoy this film. Now a buddy of mine hates this movie, and there's people, there's a decent amount of people who are not fans of this. this style of filmmaking. They don't like Snyder's darker vision of um, Superman. They like that like lighter comic booky kind of feeling, and they don't want to see Clark Kent struggling with like real life problems and having to kill people and stuff. I like that stuff. And we'll get into that a little bit more into my Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition this breakdown that I'll do probably tomorrow. But for now, we open up on Krypton, and this is very cool. This is visually stunning. We're introduced to Jor-El, Kal-El's father, and he is, trying to get Krypton to listen to him, that this planet is doomed, that they need to try to secure a place on a different planet, that they need to move on, that all of them are doomed. Now, why they can't leave, I don't really understand. Maybe there's an easy explanation for that I missed, but whatever. They end up disobeying what they all want. Clark is made in secret out of their vision that people should have choice, because on Krypton they have decided that people should only be born for a purpose, and their purpose is found by the Codex, and this harvests all of the DNA and the genetic code of all of Kryptonians. And so Jor-El goes and he steals this, and he puts it into Superman's body, so he has like the entire Kryptonian race in his DNA, and he's shipped off not right before, but pretty close in time to when Krypton actually explodes. Before this, of course, his father is killed as he's being sent away, so the day of his birth is also the day of his father's death, and shortly thereafter is the death of his entire planet and everyone he would never know, but was part of his race. And then Zod is captured as a traitor and banished to the Phantom Zone, which of course is what is kind of a play off of Superman 2, with Zod being put into the Phantom Zone and then breaking out. But in this one, once Krypton is destroyed, he's brought out of the Phantom Zone, and then he goes searching for Clark. That actually kind of reminds me similarly of Star Trek, the Star Trek reboot with Chris Pine and them. Because of course in the opening you have these characters that come out, and they're looking for revenge because their planet was blown up, and they're out there searching for like 30 years looking for Commander Spock, because they want to seek vengeance, and they want to go and blow up planets to show them what they lost. Which I thought, it's just kind of similar in that way. But so then, Clark is taken in by the Kents, and of course we know this story. He's the farm boy, he's raised, he's got to hide his powers. This is all retold. This is an origin story. And we see it, it's streamlined, it's pretty quick. I mean, it goes from Krypton to him being a kid to then flashing forward to him being kind of an outcast. He's working on fishing rigs and such, and he's trying to keep a low profile, but he can't seem to keep himself out of the limelight. He keeps going in and saving people, because that's what he is. He's Superman. He can't help himself. If he sees a problem, I'll solve it. He turns into fucking Vanilla Ice when he sees danger, and he has to go, and he goes up, and the visuals and the special effects and everything in this film are remarkable. I mean, it's very CGI heavy, but man, it's fun. It's so epic throughout. But he goes up, and this like oil rig is blowing up, and he goes and he grabs it, and he does these like, I was reading this thing where Henry Cavill, or Cavill, however you say his name, he like does his exercise programs and he gets like really jacked as fucking fast and as hard as he can, and he doesn't eat anything, and he's like in the gym every day killing himself to get the body, and then they go in and they shoot like all of his shirtless scenes, and then he says he like runs into his trailer after they're all finished and like eats an entire chocolate cake to himself. This is the impossible body standards that, and I'm not complaining. I don't give a fuck. I'm not one of those people like, oh, Hollywood's creating impossible body standards and blah blah blah. Get the fuck out of here. But yeah, they are creating that in a way where it's like, that's the ideal human physique, and it's like, dude, even the guys who train and it's their job to have bodies like this can't even keep these bodies. In order to keep those bodies, you need to literally be a fucking professional bodybuilder. It needs to be your job to be that in shape. It's crazy out of control. Your body just, you have to dedicate yourself. You have to be in there like 8 hours a day. Who the fuck has time for that? And they also feel like shit, some of them, like Henry Cavill, who's like trying to cut all the weight and look as jacked as possible. Maybe if you're doing it every day for years and years and years, it'll be less strenuous, but I don't know. Don't seem fun to me. I mean, I stay in good shape. Don't get me wrong, but that kind of shape, it's just not feasible, man. It's not feasible while you're raising kids and fucking have a full-time job and running a YouTube channel and stuff. There's just no way I could be in that good of shape. I'd never sleep. When the babies are being harvested, that of course looks very similar to what we see in the Matrix, of how the babies are pulled and they're put in these little like embryonic sacs that are in the water and whatnot. And then, oh man, imagine being the mom who has to give up her baby and send it to another planet. Yikes. But okay, so we got Diane Lane, who is the mom in this, my dad's big number one crush of his life. We get to see Clark saving a bus when he's a kid, which is cool to see him use his powers as a child and still trying to hide them in good old Smallville, Kansas. But then he gets in trouble. Imagine getting in trouble for saving every kid in your fucking bus's life. Like, what was I supposed to do? He's like, well, they just can't see you. And then he lets himself die. He puts his hand out like, no, you can't be seen. Now, people might be like, oh, he could have just grabbed him really quick before he even said anything. But by that point, he didn't know he could fly. He didn't even really know his powers all that well. I mean, if Clark ran out there, he would really have to exhibit his powers pretty heavily for him to, he could not be seen where he could just fly off and grab him in 1 second and take him out of there before anyone even noticed what happened. They'd be like, wait, wasn't there a guy standing here? What happened there? I don't know what happened. That's not his powers at that point. He has no control over him at all at that point. Dude, when that guy in the diner comes up and shoves him and he just like hits a brick wall and he like bounces off of him, and his reaction, I love that. It's like one of my favorite things in the entire film is just how his body does not fucking move at all. It is completely still as this guy just shoves him as hard as he can. I love that. I think it's so funny. And for him to have to hold back on these guys who are literally fucking peons to him, where he could like flick the guy and his head would explode. Like, this is Superman. If he punched this guy, his head would literally fucking explode. It would be insane. I'd love to see it. That's what more of what Brightburn needed. The evil Superman movie is they needed that kid like going and just punching people's heads and just knocking them off and their heads exploding like zits. That would have been insane. But yeah, imagine saving a bus full of kids and then, getting the talk like, son, what were you thinking? How could you? You could have been seen. It's like, bro, it'd be so hard. I mean, imagine the restraint. Imagine growing up with that power, not really knowing where you came from, knowing there's no one like you, knowing you have to hide it, listening to your parents. I just don't see it happening. I feel like it would be very, very difficult for a kid to resist using those powers out in public, when he's angry and his parents are trying to tell him what to do and he's like lasers them to death or like punches them across the room. I don't know. If my kids had Superman powers, I'd be fucked. I'd be fucked. The only like, the only upper hand I have on them is that I'm physically dominating. Like, I can be like, no, you're going in that room, and I can pick them up and I can put them in their goddamn room. But if they were Superman kids, I'd be like, you're going in your room, and they'd be like, bitch, you're going in the grave. So, and I'd be like, okay, never mind, do whatever you want. Although, that being said, I wouldn't have to worry as much about them because they could fall off the roof. They could fucking get hit by a car and they'd be fine. The car would just smash into them, and then the kid would be fine. So I guess you wouldn't have to worry as much if you had a Superman kid, but they would definitely be in charge. And he uses his laser vision to cauterize Lois Lane's wounds. I like when he's a kid and he has to hone in on his senses, because he's like, and his vision, when he's able to see through everyone's bodies and hear everyone's thoughts, and well, not their actual thoughts, but what they're saying, like under their breaths. That would be terrible. That would be terrifying. But it'd kind of be cool to have if you could turn it on and off. So sign me up. And let's see. I do like that the way that Superman learns how to fly is by first leaping, because in the original comics and in the TV, or maybe the serial or whatever, it's, can leap tall buildings in a single bound. He just can jump really high. So he can jump, and then it can kind of look like flying, but he's always like coming back down gravity wise to Earth, which I think is interesting and I think makes more sense than him actually like flying and being able to like be up there and turn and then boost even faster. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, how is he doing that? That makes no sense to how they describe how his character does this. Like, he's drank the radiation into his cells, and he's able to, Earth's gravity is less and all. He couldn't fly. He could jump really high and then maneuver as he's coming down. It would be like fucking Toy Story. It'd be like, that isn't falling, or that isn't flying, that's falling with style. That kind of shit. Like, that's exactly what it was. I once did that impression and didn't sound anything like that. I did that on Xbox with my brother and another guy, and we both, like, we all three laughed like crazy because I did such a spot on Woody impression. I can't fucking recreate it ever since, but I did it like, I shocked myself when it was coming out of my mouth. You ever done that where you did like a perfect impression? You're like, what the fuck? What was that? And then you just can't duplicate it. I did it that one time. It was maybe I could do it again if I really tried, but in the moment I really hit it. I don't dislike the Lois Clark relationship per se, because I do think Amy Adams is a good actress. I think Henry's a good actor, whatever, and when they are together, I don't mind them together, but I don't feel like their love interest is earned in this. I don't feel like this is a Lois Lane, Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and Kal-El Superman love story. It's interjected because it needs to be there. I don't feel like it's earned in this movie. It kind of goes from 0 to 100 with them. When she kisses him, I'm like, I don't know. That was quick. It didn't feel right to me. And then, let's see. Fucking dad dies going back for a dog. Whew. I definitely want to go back for my dog too, but I don't understand why he doesn't let Clark do it. I guess he's just the man of the house and whatever, but I mean, Clark literally would be fine if he didn't make it. Like, he could just go into the tornado, right? And then just stand in there and then get in the car and then be like, oh, look, it didn't take me, I survived. It'd be easy for him to explain how he's went through a tornado and lived. Be like, oh, it threw me over here and I miraculously survived. Whatever. But the other guy's going to fucking die for sure if that thing hits him. So why you wouldn't let Clark do it makes no sense. But he's a controlling guy. I like when he turns himself in after Zod comes down and does his like horror movie fucking thing on the television talking to everybody on Earth. But he goes in, he lets himself get captured, and he still has the handcuffs. And he just gets up and he just breaks his hands apart like nothing. Like, just like if I had nothing on my hands, just like that. I love that. I love how strong he's shown to be in this. And if you want action sequences and you want to see people punching other people, look no further. Look no fucking further than this film right here. We get Mackenzie Gray in this from Grave Encounters. Pretty funny to see him in here. But yeah, I love when Zod shows up. And he talks about how he wants to save Krypton. Like, that is his purpose. Like, we know that Krypton makes beings that they have a sole purpose. This is exactly why they're created, and they have no other agenda than what they're created for. And Zod was there and was made specifically to make sure that the Kryptonian race endures. So his specific intention of birth, what he was bred to do, is to keep the race alive. So he's going to do it at all costs. And Clark does not know anything about his people, really, outside of what he's taught in like a very short amount of time when he goes into what becomes like the Fortress of Solitude. So I don't know. Like, I get it, Zod's a bastard, but it is his purpose. But yeah, man. And then that chick one that's with him, his little general or whatever, she's a babe and a half. The fight sequence that's in the town between her and the big tall one and Superman did remind me, and my daughter even said this when we were watching it, that it reminded her of the first Thor. And I was like, yes, 100%. That's exactly what I was thinking while I was watching this. Fucking reminds me of the town fight in the end of Thor. So there are some similarities there. But that big fight through that, and then they, the army is trying to figure out whether or not Superman's their enemy. The only issue with this movie and this sequence and all this stuff is that Superman and these people just can't seem to be hurt. And so them just kind of punching each other around, it doesn't really have any consequences. Superman doesn't get up and he's broken and beaten and bloody. He should be, because he's being punched by other Kryptonians. Like, if anyone's going to be able to, like, smash his face in, it would be these guys. They have the strength of his ass. Although he's been there longer and he's, taken in the radiation from the sun longer or whatever. But regardless, I feel like he should have been broken more in this film. It would have added more weight to everything going on. Yeah, after that big fight, then Chris Melini from Law and Order SVU, he comes in and he's like, this man is not our enemy, and he's won over the military, at least for now, until Batman v Superman. Then everyone starts questioning it again. But then, I love the line, release the world engines. It almost reminds me of release the Kraken, which every guy has said about their penis at one point. But yeah, I love the whole idea of they have this ship that turns into a world engine that goes to, like, basically the South Pole and the North Pole. Although in this case it's Metropolis, but on different sides of the Earth, the hemispheres, they go boom boom, and they pulsate between, and they change topography, and they change the atmosphere and everything, and they're terraforming the planet to become the new Krypton. Although I don't know why they would change it, because Clark's a fucking god on the planet. I guess this is just the easiest way to wipe out the human race, right? So that they could start over and that they can live normally. But for me, I would just be like, you step out, you die. Or you can live amongst us. It's up to you. But we're taking over. We're the dominant species now, and you can't do a fucking thing about it because we're gods. And so to me, I wouldn't terraform the planet. I don't even see the point of it. But they want to. They want to live like it's Krypton again. And I guess, I guess people don't want to fly and have X-ray vision and shit. I would, but I guess these guys don't. But the world engine's a cool idea. And like the sound it makes, and it like brings the gravity up and brings it down, as crushing cars, and it's wild, man. And Perry White's out there, and he's helping with Doug from fucking House of Cards, and this girl gets trapped under this stuff, and they're trying to help her out, and they remain heroes up till the end. They give their life, they end up not dying because Superman stops it in time, but holy shit, do a lot of people die in this movie. There's so much death and destruction in this one. Holy fuck. It's just throwing them around, and they're just fighting all throughout Metropolis. And I love that that's the motivation for Batman in Batman v Superman, that he's running through town and he sees all these buildings collapsing, and then you see Zod and, Superman going at it, and Bruce Wayne looks up at them like, what the fuck is this? And then he sees everyone killed in this building and all that. I love it. I love the motivation. It makes perfect sense. We just don't get enough of that in these superhero movies where they're literally like beating down buildings and clearly killing multiple people in that effort. Now, of course, Superman has no choice. He has to do this, so I'm very much on his side. And I know that people don't like that. Some people don't like that Superman kills Zod. But he gave him no fucking choice. End of discussion. There was no choice there. Oh, Superman's better than that. He can do better than that. I find it very odd that people love John Wick, who shoots everyone in the head, but then they give characters like this shit for killing anybody. It's very bizarre to me. Or Batman in the next movie, where like Batman killed people. Oh my god, because they like have this idea that that's not their Batman, or not my Batman. Hashtag. But this is not that. This is Snyder's verse, the Snyder verse, where everything is dark and gritty, and that might not be your style, and that's fine. But I mean, I love it, man. I love Man of Steel. I love Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition, and I am almost positive I'm gonna love Justice League Snyder cut. Just Zack Snyder. Did I just call him Jack? Zack Snyder's Justice League. 4 hours and 2 minutes, I want to say, is what I saw when it was accidentally released on Tom and Jerry, as Tom and Jerry on HBO for like an hour. I love that scene where he's sinking into the skulls as Zod's kind of showing him what's going to happen. That's really, really cool. And I just can't give enough credit to how scary that noise is. And the soundtrack, oh my god, the score for this film is fantastic, phenomenal. I'm assuming that's Hans Zimmer. Shit, who does the score for this? It's gotta be, right? Man, it's seriously fantastic. It's so damn good. Hans Zimmer, yeah, of course. Amazing. A wonderful score throughout. And we get a LexCorp nod here. And they actually take the fight out into space, which is actually how Batman ends up seeing them when they're coming crashing back down with the satellite and all the particles and shit coming back down. And then they get that flashback scene where the kid has got his hands on his hips like this, and he's standing, and the wind is blowing the cape that he has, pinned to his shirt. I love that shot. I love it. It's great. It's a great, kid Superman shot. And then I love the closing line of this. I love the play here. That, of course, the newspaper is called the Daily Planet, and Superman has now presented himself to the world, to the planet, and he comes in to work for the Daily Planet. And I like that Lois knows who he is. Instantly when she sees him, it's like, oh, that's Clark. I'm sure she already knew he was going to work there, but regardless, it's not like, oh, who's this guy? He's cute. He looks nothing like my boyfriend. That's so stupid. The glasses disguise is the dumbest thing ever. We all know that, but whatever. Now, who else knows that in that time? I don't know. But regardless, the closing line of this, where Lois looks at him and she's welcoming him to the business of the building of the company. Welcome to the Daily Planet, but she says welcome to the planet. Brilliant. I love that. That's like they could not have had a better closing line to this fucking film. I just cannot think of anything that they could have said better. It plays off the company's name, and it's exactly what's happening there. It's like, welcome to the planet. You are now a part of the planet. Like, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I love it. And we'll talk about Batman v Superman, which a lot of you aren't going to give a shit. Most of you aren't watching this because you guys don't really care what I have to say about these kinds of movies, and I don't care. If you don't want to watch them, you shouldn't be here. Anyways, awesome movie. The big fight scenes and everything. Like, if you walk out of this and you're like, oh, that was kind of slow, and I just don't feel like there was much action. You have lost your mind. This film has the whole last hour is an action sequence completely throughout. Like, it's crazy how much is in this, and that might not be your thing, but to me, sometimes I'm just an idiot kid who just wants to see people punch each other and throw each other into buildings and destroy entire cities as their gods flying around. And Zod, oh my god, he seems to hone in on his powers quickly, but he's trained as a soldier forever. And I guess I could go on and on, but this is 30 minutes now, and it's 1:30 in the morning, and I got a movie to watch. So, anyways, this was fun, and I look forward to talking about Batman v Superman for anyone who cares on my thoughts on that tomorrow. We shall talk about it then. All right, adios.